The universe and I don't agree on the topic of disorganization. Entropy, the second law of thermodynamics, states the universe is constantly becoming more and more disordered. And because organizing this complex world that we live in consumes a great deal of energy, the universe is constantly spiraling into complete and utter chaos. Encouraging, right? Hello everyone, my name is Katie Neglia, and today I'll be speaking on how embracing entropy can lead to more fulfilling lives. Now before I lose all of you who aren't chemistry nerds like me, sitting there thinking, what in the world is entropy? I'm going to be zoned out for this entire talk. Let me simplify this subject for you. So in order to do this, we're all going to go on a trip together to New York City. I've never been, but I've heard it's a pretty cool place and it's definitely on my bucket list. So our first stop is going to be in New York Times Square, and specifically on New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve is when the ball is going to drop. Everyone has these crazy hats on, they have those light-up sticks, and everyone's waving around. Everyone is packed in, ready to see the ball drop. People even wear diapers because they're so crowded in this one area that they can't leave to use the bathroom. So that scenario would have very high entropy. There's a lot going on, it's very chaotic, just like this diagram of all the dots, all clustered together. So now we're going to move, and we're now in Central Park. And it's a nice sunny Sunday afternoon, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and everything is calm, everything is predictable. This scenario has low entropy. So you kind of get the idea, entropy measures disorganization in a system. Another way of thinking about this is by picturing a house. So when a house is first built, it's built from the ground up in a very ordered pattern. You lay the bricks and build them one at a time. Once this house is built, it's going to stand strong for a good amount of time. Oh, hopefully, if the architect was good. But as the natural way of the world happens, the wind, the weather, the rain, everything is going to break down this building over time. So the world is naturally going from this nice, ordered, beautiful building to chaos and ruins. Now, I'm going to be the first to admit that entropy used to be my biggest enemy. So here's little baby Katie, and instead of playing with Barbie dolls as a little girl, I was obsessed with these little Shopkins animals. So they're little mini figurines, and they're different shapes and sizes and colors. And instead of just like making little families or making them talk to each other, I found the most joy from categorizing these little animals. So I would line them up in a little army based on their size, shape, and color. So my parents would walk in and it'd just be lines and lines of these little animals. And I haven't really changed. I still love organizing. I still love categorizing. The calendar that's hanging on my bedroom wall is almost as big as my family's TV. It's color-coded, of course. And every file in my Google Drive is labeled all the way back to 2nd grade. So I've been this way for quite a while. However, unfortunately, entropy is unavoidable. As I speak right now, cells in all of our bodies are dying and regenerating, the floor around us is accumulating dust, and rooms are getting messier. So even if you just cleaned your room, you're probably going to go back and find it in a complete and utter mess. We can zoom out a little bit, and entropy is still occurring. So revolutions are happening around the world. Businesses are failing, and relationships are ending. Now don't worry, I didn't get up here just to talk about all that's going wrong in the world. I think the news channels already have that one covered. So we're good there. I came to talk about how embracing entropy in several facets of our life can lead to living more fulfilled and creative lives. So the first segment that I'm going to talk about is how we can use entropy in our communication. So when I first decided I was going to be giving this TED Talk, my initial reaction was to go type out a huge document of every single word that I was going to say and memorize like 15 minutes worth of words. Now, I pride myself on having a pretty good memory, but that's literally impossible for anyone to do. There's no way anyone can memorize all of those words in such a short amount of time. And it's a really ineffective way to communicate an idea. And I learned this the hard way. So I am the president of my school's choir, Accents, and for our Holiday Spectacular show, I was in charge of making and presenting a short speech to thank my director, Mrs. Coons. So, easy enough, I like public speaking. I was like, all right, I can do this. So I wrote out in my notes app, I love my notes app, exactly what I was going to say, spent a lot of time rephrasing because I wanted to thank her in an adequate way for all that she's done for me. So I have this notes list listed out, I memorize it, and I walk up to the stage in front of the choir directors and everyone in choir, and I might as well have just been sitting there reading off of my palm because I was so robotic in the way that I was speaking to the crowd, because I was just focused so hard on memorizing and saying the exact words that I wanted to say, that my words didn't come across as heartfelt or authentic. So, therefore, I'm forever doomed to robot jokes from my fellow choir kids, which at first, I admit, I did not find any of these jokes funny, because I am a perfectionist, and when things go wrong or when I do something subpar, of course I'm going to get a little bit upset about it. But by learning to laugh at myself and by learning from this mistake, I think I've become a better communicator, and I challenge you all to do the same. So when you have to give a pitch to your boss or talk to a big group of people, instead of memorizing exactly what you're going to say in each moment, instead create an outline of your thoughts and speak on each point in the moment. This will allow your conversation to be more heartfelt and authentic, and allow you to embrace entropy and embrace the natural disorganization of speaking to have more authenticity in your communication. So the next thing we're going to talk about is entropy in relationships. So by a show of hands, who all is still best friends with their best friend from kindergarten? Okay, that's actually way more than I thought, because when I was in kindergarten, my only criteria for a best friend was if I liked their outfit or not, so my choices in friends were slightly questionable. But friends, making and losing friends is a natural part of all of our lives. And we have to learn to go with the flow of our friends and enjoy friends for what they bring. So at this point in my talk, you probably would have guessed that I'm a little bit of an obsessive list maker. And this got to an extreme when I was in middle school and trying to deal with all of my friendships. So my way of organizing my thoughts and organizing all of my friends was to literally create a chart ranking all of my friends, starting from the friend that I liked the most, going all the way down the list to the friend that I liked the least. I know now that this is insane. But this way of thinking about my friendships was at one point helpful to help me organize my thoughts, but very detrimental to all of my friendships, as you can imagine, because I relied so heavily on the friend that I put at that very top point that when the natural entropic way of the world happened, and naturally they made a mistake or did something that I didn't like, suddenly it felt like the whole world was ending and I didn't want to be their best friend anymore. So by discarding all of these labels and not working so hard to categorize all of the relationships I have in my life, I can now see people as casual friends or strangers or acquaintances and just enjoy everyone in my life for what they bring in the moment, instead of thinking so far ahead to if I want them on the list of my bridesmaids. And I challenge you all to do the same. So we don't want to do this. The next part about entropy in friendships, I'm going to use a car as an example. So this is my dream car, a Volkswagen Beetle, specifically in pastel yellow. So if you see one of these driving around in 10 years, it's probably me. But once I get my dream car, I'm going to want to take really good care of it. So it's important to maintenance your car. You have to go get the tires rotated, you have to get oil changes, you have to get a car wash every once in a while. But keeping maintenance on all of these cars is similar to how you have to maintenance all the friendships in your life. Because naturally, your friendships, just like a car, is going to get dirty over time. They're going to start to get weaker. So just like a car, you have to spending time with your friends and giving them the love that you want in return. So you have to counteract the natural entropy that is going to happen with your friendships. But you can also flip this on its head and think, when a car is in a shop getting maintenance, you can't be out driving it. And certain cars require different amounts of maintenance. So certain friendships and certain relationships in your life are going to need different amounts of maintenance and different amounts of love. So for example, if someone in your life is telling you, I love you so much, that's nice, right? But if someone says it 100 times a day, maybe for someone that's really assuring and really nice and they would really enjoy that. But for others, it might seem suffocating, and that eventually at 101 I love yous, suddenly it doesn't start to mean as much anymore. So it's important to create the balance between maintaining your friendships and not letting them get into an increasingly chaotic state, but also making sure that each person is given the love that they need personally. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is entropy and creativity. And everyone has to be creative, whether you're an author thinking of a new topic for your short story, or a mom just trying to get your kid into their car seat without a screaming crying fit. Everyone has to be creative. And I personally have struggled with creativity in my life because I really do like to think by the books, and do things in an ordered process, and I'm a very type A person. So it takes a lot for me to be creative and sort of think outside the box. An example of an interaction I had where I did have to be creative recently is in my biomedical innovations class in school. So we were tasked with coming up with an innovative solution to a healthcare problem. And there are so many things wrong with our healthcare system right now, which is a whole other TED Talk that I won't get into today. But there were lots of options for me to choose from. So I was like, okay, great. I sit down at my desk in my room, pull up a blank Google Doc, start a bulleted list, and I sit there. And I sit there. And I sit there, and no ideas are flowing from my brain. It is completely blank from the minute I sat down to an hour later. So frustrated, I get up and get on with my day because I'm not going to continue wasting my time. Little did I know that at that exact moment, that's exactly what I needed to do. Instead of just sitting there going in circles in the same ideas, I needed to remove myself from the situation, go out and do something else and think about something else for inspiration to strike. So a few days later, I was out getting Bippy Bop with my friend, and the little labels on the front of the food containers actually sparked an idea for an innovative solution that I now have in improving food labels in packaging. So now I have a creative, innovative idea for this class that I'm passionate about. And it didn't arise from sitting at my desk, thinking in a narrow focus, just me and my laptop. It came from me stepping outside of my comfort zone and interacting with new things in the world. So I challenge you to do the same. If you're struggling with coming up with an innovative idea, don't get stuck in the same pattern by doing the things that you would have done before to come up with an idea. Maybe go out on a walk, get inspiration from nature, talk to other people and hear other perspectives to get a broader view of new innovative ideas. So it's important you're not usually just going along with the algorithm, going along with the pattern, and just allowing yourself to see these new ways and see the world in a different light and not go by the books. So although I still do love my very detailed to-do lists and dependable early morning routine, I've learned, and I hope that by speaking on my experiences today, you will learn as well that by embracing the natural entropic way of life, that things aren't always supposed to be ordered, and the disorganization that life brings is actually a key to creating better lives in communication, relationships, and creativity. So I'll leave you with this. Chaos is not a fault in the universe. It is the natural way of the world. Thank you.